All right, Mac. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm really excited to hear from you. I know we were just chatting before. You've been in the industry for 20 years, 20 plus years, something you had said.
Yeah,
And
I say 20 plus because you start
okay.
putting the other one on, it gets
Don't
too
want to
close
go
to
into those
30. It's
numbers.
like, no.
Well, what sparked this conversation is this Kickstarter campaign that you've been working on around, financial literacy and this game for kids. And excited to get into that. But before we do, which I know is kind of the prerequisite to this Kickstarter campaign, is you've been writing books for some time. And I love to hear a little bit about kind of that journey and how that got started, and then how that brought you to the campaign that's recently been running. So maybe we start there. So
Sounds like a plan. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity to share our story with your viewers. And first book, Motivate Your Money. This book I wrote years ago. That's an old picture. I was younger and had more hair. I wrote that book when I had my practice in Houston, and I wrote it to really help my clients. I just found it was pretty eye-opening. I was working with folks who were multimillionaires, very wealthy, but they really didn't have any financial planning guidance, foundation. And so one of the best compliments I've ever received as an advisor is, Mac, you make this financial planning stuff easy to understand. I like to share these Mac nuggets, little ways to break down a story or break down the complex things that are going on in the financial service industry and make it easy for folks to digest. So that was my first book. And then one of my clients came and said, hey, Mac, love the Mac nuggets, love the first book. Would you be open to creating something for kids? And so
wow.
that is how the Four Money Bears book came to be. And so that book, the essence behind it is there's only four things you can do with money, right? Spend it, save it, invest it, or give it away. Kids like bears. So we created these four bear characters: spender bear, saver bear, investor bear, and giver bear. And they show throughout the book the pros and cons each function of money, and that when they work together, great things can happen when you form a budget.
So what kind of, you're able to explain that so simply. I mean, what was it, just through your conversations or for your training, or what kind of, how are you able to simplify, make the complex simple?
So in my first book, I talk about the 5 steps to financial success. And that these are steps and things that people were doing that I had been engaging with. I've been very fortunate. I've provided and presented over 4,000 financial plans in my career. And so I've done a lot of financial plans and financial planning.
Yeah.
And with folks that ended up having money to retire or to pass on, they were following these 5 steps. Step 1, plan accordingly. Step 2, spend cautiously. Step 3, save diligently. Step 4, invest wisely. And step 5, give generously. And so what that really ties into, Lauren, is that, always have a plan. And then those 4 functions of money. Remember, there's only 4 things you can do with money: spend it, save it, invest it, or give it away. And so the bigger picture behind this Four Money Bears book is the sad fact that financial literacy is not taught in schools. And so you have parents with young kids that, unless they're a CFP or a CPA or in finance or an advisor, so they really don't have that guidance. And so if you never got it, how can you teach your kids about it? And so that's really what we were looking to do with the Four Money Bears, is to create a story, which is actually the story of me and my wife teaching our kids about money, that a parent can sit down with their 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid and say, hey, want to learn about money? There's these 4 bears.
Yeah.
And so that's how it came to be.
So how was it received? You got the book, you put it together, shared it with the world. Yeah. You tested on your kids first, what?
It is. Yeah. Here's the funny part. Wrote the book as a request of a client, and took the book. We were living in Houston at the time. Took the book to my kid's school, said, hey, you know what? I'd love to be able to read this. The principal's looking at this book and she says, do you know what you have here? I'm like, a book that helps kids and parents talk about money. She said, this is 5, 6 years ago, the state of Texas had released these TEKs, these sort of core curriculums
Uh-huh.
for financial literacy, starting in elementary school. And she was like, Mac, no one has anything like this.
Mhm.
This is awesome. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And so that was how the journey started. I sent the book off to 30, 35 state school boards. The
Wow.
process to get a book into a public school, Lauren, is mind-numbingly difficult.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So we tried a lot of different things to get into schools, to get different ways. But what we did see was that teachers were using digital solutions, apps, games, so on and so forth, to teach their kids. And so that's one of the drivers towards how Finlit Tech started, and digitizing the book and creating a gamified solution to allow parents, teachers,
Yep.
enterprises to promote financial literacy.
So was that kind of the turning point where you said, okay, we've got the printed version. We need to now take this to the next digital level of where kids are at and where education is at. And that was a turning point then?
It was. So everything, both of my books are self-published. You can jump on Amazon.com, like you can buy pretty much everything
I
nowadays.
know. Yeah,
And
Amazon is it's a little too easy, right? So
it is. But you can buy the book on Amazon,
uh-huh.
and we are so blessed and so fortunate, Lauren, when I tell you that we have book sales around the world. We sell our book in England, France, Germany, Italy, Canada.
Oh,
Yeah. So, and what it shows is that financial literacy isn't just a US issue. It's a
right,
global concern. They're
right.
parents with young kids around the world that want to teach their kids about how to manage money. And so the cool thing about books is that kids are still a demographic that read books,
Mm-hmm.
but they are also early adopters to technology and are also learning through iPads, laptops,
Yeah,
phones.
yes.
So that's why we had a lot of responses and a lot of demand and requests to create some sort of digital version of our book.
So you've got the financial knowledge that you're bringing to the table. A book alone to be able to publish that, create it, the visuals. I can't even imagine what it's been like to try to create, this interactive app. How have you like built this team? I mean, unless maybe you've superpower skills, but
Yeah.
I just can't imagine how. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah.
What's been that process like to be able to take this vision and then to be able to take that to life and print and digital? So
I have been a huge fan, advocate of networking, the power of connecting with people and connecting people.
mhm.
And a few years ago, executives and leadership at eMoney got a hold of my book, and they said,
Mm,
hey, this Matt Gardner guy is doing some really cool stuff. He's starting the financial literacy conversation like at
yeah,
age 5. That's
yeah.
super cool. And so we worked informally, and then last year began working formally in partnership with Finlit Tech. And one of the great connections that I made years ago was a gentleman by the name of Ryan Galini, who heads up Dillo Games in Austin. And so
Yes.
last year I said, Ryan, we met 4 years ago, maybe even more. And we had these great ideas, but,
Yeah.
the timing wasn't right. And things were, COVID and all kinds of wild things happened. So last year we reached out and I said, hey, Ryan, we're ready to do this. And he said, Mac, I have been waiting. So he has an extensive background in gaming
Very
and
cool.
has been building some really, really cool tools. And so I said, okay, I've got this idea.
Mhm.
One of the another response we got from folks with the book is, Mac, love the fact that you're teaching kids about what to do with money once they get it.
Mhm.
Are you going to write a book about teaching kids about earning money?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what we're able to do through this through the For Money Bears Berryville, which
Mhm.
is the name of the new app, is the child or the user
Yep.
learns both sides of the personal finance fence. What we mean by that is you inherit your family's berry farm. So you're running a farm and the
Mhm.
farm stand. So it's
Mhm.
a farming simulator is really what it is.
Mhm.
And then once you earn the money, we'll have quests and quote and little quizzes in the game to help provide that guidance as to what to do with the money.
Got it.
And we've developed a new way for teaching financial literacy. We call it our TAT method, where we teach,
Mm-hmm.
analyze, and then
Mm-hmm.
track the progress of the user over time to be able
Mm.
to say, hey, these are the habits that are forming. These habits become behaviors, and these behaviors become traits.
Yeah, and the gardening piece is something that everyone can relate to, right? So and I think at various ages, and it's something easy to talk about, and so that's I like this idea of it's yeah, it's relatable. So
And
then
it's a game. It's a simplified game. And
right.
that's one of the other big issues, Lauren, when it comes to financial literacy that we've seen, is so many financial literacy courses are way over the user's head. We
Mhm.
want to meet these young people where they are,
Mhm.
and kids, when they're playing games, they love to play games. And
Yeah.
if we're learning and we're teaching them that way and they're having fun, why not?
So tell us where you're at with the app process. I mean, you kicked off this Kickstarter, which I think overnight you hit your goal. I mean, it was crazy. By the time that I went to check it out, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already surpassed. But um, which that's a whole nother conversation. I love to hear just more about the ramp up too for that Kickstarter. But where are you at with it now that you know you're going to get those funds? And then is it going to be going into development of building this out? And kind of what's the next what's the red carpet if you were to roll it
Yeah.
out for next steps?
Our initial idea behind this app was to put together a demo. So for those of you who are listening and watching, if you go to www.thefourmoneybears.com, TheFourmoneyBears, you can actually download the demo. So there's a playable demo that's available now. See the bears, meet the bears, see what the users have to do in the game. And when we were looking at different ways to raise funds and raise awareness of our Teach Kids Money mission, we like the Kickstarter platform because we can raise funds, but really what it allows us to do is to raise awareness
Mm-hmm.
of what we're doing as a company, and why it's important to get it done.
Yep.
And so we were fortunate. In 6 days, we raised the minimum threshold. We were like, wow, okay,
There's
that's great.
something there. Yeah.
There's definitely something there.
Yeah.
But the more we raise, the bigger and better we can make the game, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so the next step is to continually develop the game, get that aspect of it built. But what we're finding as we continue to walk down this road and we start engaging with different folks is the use cases of our game
Mm-hmm.
are really, really interesting. So I'll share with you the three that we thought of, and then things got really, 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 really deep with it. So the first one was just
Yeah.
parents with young kids, right?
Yep.
Hey, you know what? You've got a child, they're wasting too much time on their electronic
Yep.
device. Play this game and then learn a little bit about money. So
Yep.
that's one. The second channel are teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers have come to us and say, hey, you know what? We want to teach this stuff to the kids. We know it's important, but there's no consistent utilization tool that a teacher in Florida versus a teacher in DC versus a teacher in California. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're building a tool that will allow teachers across the country to be able to use that platform, our platform, teach, analyze, and track. The third one, which is getting a lot of attention, is
Yeah.
from financial institutions
Interesting.
that are
Sure.
looking to
Yeah.
give back. So let's just say you're a bank. Banks have something called CRA, Community Reinvestment Act
Mm-hmm.
groups, wherein they're giving back to the community, and they're
Yep.
they're they're giving a lot of things back. And so we're talking to a regional bank here in Tampa right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to utilize our Berryville app to give to children in underserved overlooked communities
Oh, that's
in the
awesome.
Tampa St. Pete area, yeah, to be able to not just teach them financial literacy, but to be able to say, you know, I heard there's a crazy stat that said a child's financial success is almost exclusively determined by the zip code they grow up in.
Wow.
So
That's
imagine being able to drop a game into a community, into a zip code, and then all of a sudden to change the conversations that are being had in that household,
Yeah.
the ramifications that can happen for that child, for that family, that community, just to talk about investing, talk about
Yeah.
giving and all these different things. So it's phenomenal, some of the things that we're seeing ahead of us right now, and different applications
That's
of
amazing.
the
It gives me
platform.
goosebumps hearing you talk about it because it's the power of mass, right? Being able to
Yeah.
reach other people and to be able to make an impact across generations. So that's
And
so
that's the thing that we can do with technology, with an
right.
app, that we can't necessarily do with a book. It's
Yeah.
hard to scale a book, but with an app, we can create this platform. We can literally disperse it into a community,
Yep.
give it away, and
Yeah.
just have young people absorbing this
Yeah.
fun new way to learn about money.
That's so fun. My goodness. So I also to backtrack a little bit, I really resonate with what you're talking about with the why Kickstarter platform, right? It's not just about raising money, but it's about the bigger picture strategy to reach more people. So can you share a little bit more about how you went about doing that? Because the marketer hats on, right? So, I mean, what was your game plan to be able to reach people, to get this word out, and to use this as an excuse, if you will, to do so? So,
I have been very fortunate. I have been utilizing platforms like LinkedIn for years. In fact, I owned stock in LinkedIn before Microsoft bought them years ago.
yeah.
So I have probably 24,000 connections on LinkedIn, and just the folks that have been following our journey since we wrote this For Money Bears book. Financial advisors across the country use our book.
That's awesome.
So
Wow.
yeah, so if you're a financial advisor and you've got a client with young kids and you want
Yep.
to be able to give something back and make that connection with the next generation, we have book sales across the country
Yeah.
from that cohort. And so I had a nice natural uh, pond of folks who were willing to support
Mhm.
this mission and this new digital solution that's coming on board. So that definitely helped. eMoney is a huge supporter of our mission, and they were contributors to the campaign.
Mhm.
And just what Kickstarter allows you to do is to have this platform that sort of magnifies the message,
Mhm.
because you'll have people that come in that
Right.
you do your outreach to, say, hey, you know what, we love your support, love your support. But what we found is that the faster that you get to your goal and
Yeah.
reaching it, there are certain metrics, I guess, within Kickstarter that pushes you up
Higher.
up the list and
Yeah.
then other folks do. So it becomes this sort of domino effect that allows us to reach more people.
So powerful. It was smart. It's a smart approach because I mean it fits in well with the mission of what you're trying to do too, and hearing you talk about it. So um so excited. Where do you even find the time? My goodness. You're talking earlier, you've got kids of your own, business you're running. I mean, is this it sounds like it's just been little pieces over the years and just making it better and better, but where, yeah.
Yeah.
Um
I joke around and tell people, yeah, I'm doing this 25/8, not even 24/7, 25/8. No, I heard a great saying, if you do something you love, you won't work a day in your life.
yep.
So I enjoy spreading the news. I enjoy making a change in the life of the financial lives of people that I interact with. And so, you know, being able to put my energy and have this great team that's, Ryan and I sit down and we're like, oh, Mac, this is going to be perfect. This will be great. And to have someone that sees the vision and realizes, look, we can do some, we're at a really cool time. We're at a really cool place in time
Mhm.
where a child can get $100 bill for a birthday gift.
Mhm.
And remember the four options, right? Spend, save,
Mhm.
invest, give.
Mhm.
That child, before maybe reading the For Money Bears book, would be like, okay, I want to blow the whole $100 on a pair of Nike shoes.
Yeah.
Now, because they may have read our book, mom and dad share with them, hey, you got a couple options. You can spend some, you can save some, you can invest some of it. And all of a sudden now this child is saying, this investing thing, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, those Nike shoes that you said you want, did you know that you can actually buy shares of Nike and you can own that company? Well, really, I can own the company that makes the shoes. And what's so cool about it is that the technology is here now, Lauren,
Mhm.
that allows for things like fractional ownership of shares, where
Mhm.
you can use your phone and you can literally buy 5 shares of Coca-Cola, buy 5 shares of Starbucks, buy 5, 10, 15, 20 shares of Nike.
Right.
When 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't even an option. And so when I tell people about our mission between building the bridge between financial literacy and financial technology,
Mhm.
and that's what gets us to financial wellness. That's what I mean, is
Yep.
by able to have the stories, have the education, and then have the tools to be able to enact that education
Yep.
and then change lives.
Yeah. And not to mention the powerful piece about technology is you can track so much data and be able to see those patterns and which provides more insights and not only to be able to better the game, but then to be able to know what's working, what's not working, all kinds of
Yeah,
things. So
yeah.
so
A/B testing, all that
yeah.
fun stuff. Yeah, it's that whole world. Ryan likes to flex the muscle, and I'm just like a kid in the candy store. Like, okay, tell me more. That's so
You
cool.
know, so the
Technology is
number
so
side,
cool.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
The
fun.
tech side is pretty awesome. So no,
Yeah.
we're really happy. We're on a really cool path. We're getting attention from some really big names in the fintech space.
Mm.
And if we can build a solution that can help more people when it comes to understanding and educating them about money, that's what we're all about.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for sharing, the behind the scenes of the story and, where it is today. Can't wait to follow along with the journey. We'll make sure to include those, the links below and I'm excited for updates. So thank you again for sharing a bit of background.
You are so welcome. The financial life journey is a long one, and we envision the Four Money Bears as a child's on ramp to their digital financial journey. And as I like to say, the journey continues.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Mac.
Thanks for having me.